Most people who want to build a custom home never end up actually doing it. It's not because they can't afford it. It's not because they don't want to. It's simply because nobody takes the time to explain how the process works. You go to a model home, you get a tour, you ask a couple of questions, you grab a brochure, and you head home. You get home, and you might continue to do some online research, but all you're finding is the marketing content that the builder put on their website. Nobody takes the time to sit down with you, go over timelines, expectations, what really happens on the job site, and what might go wrong on the job site so that you know how to protect yourself before you sign that contract. I've been a builder rep with Drees Custom Homes here in Garden Ridge for years now. I've sat across the desk from hundreds of families who are looking at making the biggest investment of their lives. And in this video, I'm going to break down everything that I wish a buyer knew prior to ever setting foot in a model home. Custom is not as complicated as the industry makes it feel. Here at Drees Custom Homes, we've spent the last 98 years perfecting our process. We follow the custom plus construct model. What that means is you're going to come in, you're going to have an array of 10 or 11 different floor plans to start with, and then from there, that's where we start the fun process of customization. We can move walls, we can close off rooms, I can add another bedroom and bathroom, whatever we need to do to turn that floor plan from a home that you like into a home that you love. That's what we specialize in here at Drees Homes. One of the big reasons why people are preferring to work with a customizable builder is because they get to tailor the home for exactly what they need for that season of their life. Right now, for instance, we're building a lot of multi-generational floor plans. And so somebody's able to come in, take the floor plan that they like, and then convert a secondary living space to a mother-in-law suite, for instance. It allows somebody to build the home that doesn't just serve them, but serves their entire family. A lot of the people that we're serving in this market have built a home or two, maybe three. They've learned from those experiences, and so now they want to take those experiences and put them into action when they're building their forever home so that they can avoid those things that they've run into in the past. Before I walk through the timeline step by step, I want to flag something that most buyers completely overlook: the design center appointment. It sounds pretty straightforward, but buyers who go into this meeting unprepared are the same ones that have regrets 6 months after moving into their home. Here's an idea of what the Drees build process looks like, almost on a month-to-month basis. So on day one, we're going to sit down. We're going to start with the basics. We're going to pick your floor plan, and then we're going to pick the home site that house is going to be sitting on. From there, we're going to move into the structural options, and we're going to go through that floor plan, pick any structural options that are already pre-existing. Once we've accomplished that, we'll then move into the custom phase. What that means is we're going to sit down and talk about that floor plan and see if there's any way that we can tailor it to be a better fit for you and exactly what you're looking for in your next home. Once we've accomplished that and we have our structurals and we have all of our custom options done, we're ready to go ahead and move to contract. We're going to move to contract, get the contract executed, and then what our next month looks like as the builder, we're going to be behind the scenes. We're going to be ordering permits. We're going to be doing soil tests, getting your foundation engineered, getting your frame engineered, doing all of that heavy lifting behind the scenes. Meanwhile, you get to do the fun stuff. You're going to go to the design center. You have 3 appointments to sit down with our designer and pick all the pretty stuff that's going into your home. Countertops, floor tiles, wall tiles, wood floors, you name it. Speaking of your design center appointment, we're going to build you a quality home regardless, but you have to live with the items that you select at design center for quite some time. With that said, do not go in unprepared. One of the key things about working with me here at Drees Homes is we're going to go over our design center preview software and give you access to the full catalog of design center selections prior to ever stepping foot into the actual design center. And guys, regardless of if you're working with me or not, the key thing to remember is when you're at that design center appointment, speak up. It's sometimes a truly speak now or forever hold your peace type situation, because change orders are a tricky thing to get approved as you're building the home out. Make sure that you take the time, do the research, and when you're in that design center, ask all the questions that you need to make sound decisions. While you're going through that design process, we're behind the scenes getting everything ready to start your home. And once you finish that design process and we've finished our permit process, we're going to sit down with the superintendent that's building your home, and we're going to do what we call our pre-construction meeting. This is our opportunity before we pour concrete to make sure that we're all on the same page, and this is a very integral part of our process. It's a chance to make sure that everything that you talked about with the designer, everything you and I talked about regarding your structural options and your custom options, are all making sense to the builder and the superintendent that are going to be in charge of overseeing your project. Once we've completed our pre-construction meeting, that means we're ready to start a home for you. So usually within about a week of that meeting, we're getting form boards up on your property, we're doing the plumbing rough, and we're getting ready to pour some concrete for you. Once we poured that concrete, what we're looking at over the next month is to get your home weathered in. What that means is we're going to have our framing completely finished. We're going to bring the wall sheathing in, which with us is a Uber zip system. We're going to bring that shell in around your home. We're going to put your roof decking on. We're going to put all of your exterior doors and windows on and go ahead and put some shingles on that roof. That allows us to have a safe working environment protected from the elements as we're building your home. Once we've got your home weathered in, we're going to start on the mechanicals phase of that. And so we're going to be putting all your plumbing in, all your electrical, your HVAC, everything that goes behind the walls that you typically don't see when you walk into a home. Once we finish that process, we have another meeting called the pre-drywall meeting. And what that does is it allows us to walk through that home while it's still in its bones stage. We walk through the home with our client that we're building for to make sure that everything is in place exactly as it's supposed to be. That's also a great opportunity to walk through your future home, take pictures of where everything is so that when you go to hang something on the walls 5 years down the road and you're going to mount your TV, you know where all the electrical is, you know where all the plumbing is in your home, so you can make sure to mitigate anything happening down the road. Once we get through the mechanical stage, we're going to go ahead and insulate the home, and then we're putting drywall up. Once that happens, we move on to cabinets and countertops, and then we get into the finishes and the fixtures getting installed. So that's really the fun part for our buyers. That's when you get to see the vision actually coming into play. All of the things that you picked at the design center, all of the structural options that you drew up with me are all fully in effect at that point. And so you really get to see your vision coming together. Now, once we've finished with the fixtures and the trim and the doors and all of that stuff on the inside of your home, we're going to be moving into basically a fine-tuning stage. Not to forget what's happening on the outside, we've got masonry up. We're working on a rough grade is what we call to get the yard looking good around your home. And then once we move into that finish out phase, it really takes us about a month to do our fine tuning. We're gonna have the painters come out multiple times. We're gonna have the trim crew come out multiple times, the cabinet touch-up crew. Make sure that everything is as close to perfect come presentation day. Presentation day, that is essentially our last meeting before your final walkthrough. What that typically looks like is a week or two before your closing date, we'll go and walk through your home with the superintendent that was overseeing your project. And we'll go through that house with a fine-tooth comb. We'll look at everything, look for any imperfections so that we have enough time to get those fixed prior to your final walkthrough. Also, we're gonna explain how to enjoy your new home. Maybe you've never had a septic system before, or maybe you've never had sprinklers. We're gonna make sure that you know how everything going into your home operates and how to get the most longevity out of it. Really, once we get to the end of our construction process, we have the last piece of the puzzle, if you will, is the final walkthrough. So we do our new home presentation a week or two prior to closing. That gives us a little bit more time to put that final touch on everything and to make sure that your home is ready for you come closing day. So when we sit down with the builder for that final walkthrough, we're going to go over any of those action items as we call them, and then we're going to walk through your home before you go and sit down at the title company and make sure that we have covered all bases for you so that you guys are happy come closing day. And before we go any further, I want to make sure you have access to something. I've put together a free guide called the San Antonio Luxury Home Buyer's Guide. It covers everything a serious buyer needs to know prior to signing anything with any builder. The full custom build process, the design center selections that really matter, the questions you need to ask your builder rep, and a community breakdown of the Hill Country area. It's completely free and the link is in the description. As everybody is aware, there can be delays in the construction process. We've perfected our processes over the last 98 years and we found ways to mitigate a lot of those delays popping up. However, there are still a couple that do still exist in our world. The first one, and quite frankly, there's nothing we can really do about it, is the weather. If we get some rough weather that prevents us from building, we're gonna sit tight for a few days, wait for the storm to pass, and then we can continue doing our job. The other one that we do have a little bit more of control over is change orders coming up after the time of contract. For those of you that don't know, a change order is something that we didn't think about well enough prior to contract, that now that we're in construction, we've had the idea to come back and make some adjustments. It's not always as easily said as it is done, because when you're working with an efficient builder, we've ordered your doors and trim in advance. We've ordered your cabinetry in advance. We are constantly working for the next step. So it's very hard to have fluidity throughout that process and still make sure that we're maintaining our quality and our efficiency as a builder. So the best way to mitigate having to do change requests is communication. I cannot stress this enough. Communication is the most important part of this process. And if your builder is not communicating with you on a weekly basis, letting you know what's going on and what our next step looks like, if they're not having those meetings that we put into place, like the pre-construction meeting and the pre-drywall meeting, it's going to be hard to think about every little thing. The good news is with Drees, you don't have to worry about everything because, like I said, we've put these practices and these appointments into place to try to take away from all of that. You might be wondering what role I play during this process. I'm here to be your advocate with the builder. I'm here to make sure that every little thing is thought of prior to us signing that contract. I'm here to communicate with you and let you know what's going on in the field while we're building your home. You've got a job, you've got a family, wherever you might be spending your time, you should be able to continue spending your time like that, living your life. Let us build the home for you. So I'm going to be at your job site every day. I'm going to be checking on progress. I'm going to be making sure that everything is happening as it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to be updating you along the way to make sure that you have pictures and videos of your journey of the house being built. Make sure that you know exactly what's happening next week and the week after that. I'm really here to hold your hand and to guide you through this process to make sure that come closing day, you got a smile on your face. Make sure that this was a fun process and not the daunting, scary process that we hear happens sometimes. The price of your home does not increase if you ask 100 questions instead of 10 questions. So it's my job to show you everything that we have available, figure out what exactly you're looking for so that I can help match what we have to what you need. Once we do find what you need, the communication in the beginning part of that process is vitally important to make sure that everything is thought of before you're signing anything. I always put myself into my buyer's shoes. How are they feeling and how would I want to feel if I was the one that was making this investment? And so I always lead with my best foot forward. I'm never a pressure type of salesperson. Whenever the time is right for you, it's right for me to serve. So regardless of it being this month, this year, whatever it is, whenever you're ready to start your journey, I'm here for you. Now stick with me through this next section because we're about to go through 3 things that can totally derail the custom home process. If you know these 3 things, you will be 90% ahead of the buyer that just walks into the model home. If you don't already have a budget in mind when going into the design center, it's gonna make everything much more complicated. Go into the design center with a budget already in mind. The last thing you want is to be sitting in the design center, picking through all of the options, not knowing where your total price is gonna end up. Problem number 2, coming in with unreasonable timeline expectations. If you want your home to be built properly, it's gonna take some time to build it, guys. So while we deliver an estimated completion date, and we're typically very close to that, you have to understand that good things take time. Problem number 3 is securing your financing. Most of the people that walk into my door already know they're qualified, but that doesn't mean that you don't wanna spend some time finding the lender that is best suited to help you in your current situation. Those are just a few problems that can come up when building your custom home, and quite frankly, that could happen with any builder. That's why that constant communication that I mentioned earlier is so vitally important to making sure that your build process is a successful one. So if this video gave you a more clear picture of what building custom looks like in San Antonio, go ahead and grab the guide because it's going to give you the full roadmap. Everything I covered today and much more, organized in a way that you can use every step throughout your build process. Whether you're 6 months out or you're just starting your research stage, this is a resource I wish every buyer had access to. And when you're ready for your next steps, whether that be touring through a model home, talking through your timeline, or just asking a question that you can't find the answer to anywhere else, feel free to reach out. My name's Josh Hyde with Drees Custom Homes, and I can't wait to hear from you.